Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel, and this is my first painting tutorial. This will be part one of a few, either 3 or 4. I'll see how I go. There is so much detail in this that I cannot cram it into one video, so I want to show you how we start from bare wood to varnish. So I did take this source image, and in Photoshop I combined it with the very next image because he was smiling more, and I added a background, but that's a tutorial for another video. And this is what we're going to be painting. So yeah, let's get cracking. I used a sponge roller and some canvas primer, and I gave the board 4 layers of primer, and I didn't sand in between because I wanted that slight eggshell finish, but you're welcome to sand to a paper smooth finish if you want. The smooth canvas allows you to get very fine detail, as you'll see a little later. So the first thing we do is I just traced out the outline so I can see where I'm going to put the background, and I mixed some acrylic colors, some black, dark green, medium green, and a light green and a yellow. And I'm just using standard acrylic paint, nothing fancy. I reduce it down to about 80% with the reducer, which is some distilled water. And I've got the reference photo behind me, but I've just put it up for you so you can see what we're working towards. This doesn't have to be exact. In fact, you could just put a grey background down. So if you want to skip this part, move ahead and you can get straight into the painting. But for those interested in seeing how the blurry background gets done, you can just keep watching here. I'm just laying down some mediums because I like to work from light to dark, because I can always go dark, but it's difficult to go back to the light once you've put a dark color down. So I'm kind of just switching between colors, just building up the background, random parts, generally following the source, but not exact. It doesn't have to be exact, no one's going to notice. And in the end, when I'm finished with the painting, I can always come back and bring it closer to the subject if I feel that there's too much halo around the portrait. And in fact, I'll do that a little later. But for now, we just want something there so we can have we're not painting against a white background. For this part, I'm just using the base version single piston aircraft compressor and included brush. This is of course the deluxe version of that same brush, and I'll do a review on this in a later video. This is a monster. So we're almost finished with this part now. For now, I will come back a little later as I've finished the portrait to just finalize that. I just 3D printed a little template here, but you can actually basically do this freehand because they are so soft. But I had the template, so I thought I might as well use it. But go ahead and do this freehand if you're doing a blurry background. And this part is now almost finished. So after this, we will just block in the whole image in black. I actually just used black canvas primer because it covers quickly. It's cheap. And here we go. I've blacked in the back of the dog, and I'm just starting with the eyes. And in the source photo, I noticed that basically it's just colored hair over a black skin in essence. and all the shading and stuff I can always do over the top. So I always start with the eyes. I've just blocked them in just to give me something to look at, and it's just a matter of following the direction of the fur. Just follow the source image, and you can actually change it a little later because we're building this up in layers. So if you make a little mistake, it's not too serious. You can go over. I've just put the final painting here so you can see what we will achieve later with the shadows, because at the moment everything looks very bright. But I just go over with an airbrush, just darken it down slightly, and because the paint is fairly thin, it doesn't dry very opaque. It sort of dulls down slightly, so you can build up a few layers like this, about 5 or 6, and you can leave the dark parts dark and the light parts you can just add more layers. I'm just washing in the eye color here. I did all the eyes, all the shadows and everything before I tinted the eyes, and I just put a wash over them. It's probably the easiest way instead of mixing all the different colors. So then you can have your shadows and everything ready to go. You just glaze the eyes with a thin glaze, and then off we go. So now we're just doing the small hairs. If I had a smaller brush, I would have done them even smaller, but there's a limit to how much detail you want to put in, and I think this is already as good as it needs to get. I'm using my smallest brush here just for these very tiny little lines, and there is no fast way of doing this, guys. If you want this kind of detail, you have to unfortunately paint every hair one by one, and I sort of chop and change a little bit here and I move over there. That's just to let the paint dry a bit. And this highlight part I'm going to come over quite a few times to make that brighter. So here's a bit of a close-up. You can see how small these brush strokes are. I'm using a sort of an old small brush just to help me a little bit. And as the paint runs out on the brush, you can see the paint gets thinner and thinner. That's a nice way to add layers, and then you can come over it like I'm doing at the moment and just brighten that up where you need to. And if you go too bright, you can just come with your airbrush, just dull it down slightly and move on. Just remember to keep following as close as you can the direction of the fur. Now there I made a mistake. You can see, you can just wipe it off and carry on. You can see how small these brush strokes are. They are maybe 2 or 3 millimeters long. They're tiny. I've zoomed into the image here, in fact, into the video I should say. But yeah, these brush strokes are absolutely minuscule, but I wanted to push myself in this one and see how detailed can I get. You can see the paint running out here, and I just use that as a layer to give me some more variation. And then every time I use a fresh brush, I use the fresh paint or the thicker paint to add the highlights, and then I just move along to where it needs to go a bit brighter as the brush runs out, and I just keep building up the layers in that way. But as far as the source image is concerned, all I could see was white or semi-white fur with black, so there was no need for pre-shading and doing various pre-layers. I'll do all that with my color blending in a later stage, and I'm using a sort of not a white but an off-white, about a couple of shades darker, so it is a sort of a grey color, and I'll use that to my advantage because I need to leave space to come with the brightest highlights right at the end, so I don't want to start with that. Right guys, we're coming to the end of this first section. I hope you enjoyed this. The second section will get into some more detail, and please follow and like, and we'll see you soon. Thanks guys.